Welcome back once again to 3 Up and 3 Down, where today we will tackle Sunday's DFS, Draftkings, NFL main contest. Hopefully you guys listened to our college football preview, which was for today's games, because the picks were excellent. It allowed me to get a majority of my teams into the cashing area, and hopefully it helped you guys as well. For those of you not familiar with the channel or with the show, 3 Up and 3 Down is where I give you 3 players that I believe you should pay up for, and 3 players that I think are a little underpriced and that have a good chance to hit in value. Again, we are a new channel, so please hit like and subscribe. And if you have any lineup questions whatsoever, if you can get them to me prior to noon on Sunday, I will answer every single one. So now without further ado, our 3 Up players. And I'm going to go back to the well again to wide receiver Amon-Ra St. Brown of the Detroit Lions, who is at 8,200. St. Brown has yet to have that breakout game except for week 2. Like I said, I'm going back to the wall. It's going to happen again. His targets have actually decreased in each of the last 4 games. Something that would normally stray me away from a player. But there's probably not a better slot receiver in the NFL. And it is just a matter of time before St. Brown starts putting up those big numbers again. This week, they face the unbeaten Vikings, a big division game, and a game that should be a high-scoring game. What kind of tilted the scales a little bit is that the Vikings have the worst pass defense in fantasy against wide receivers. Next up, in the 3 Up section, we're going to go to tight end George Kittle of the 49ers at 6,000. The 49ers play Kansas City this week. The Chiefs don't struggle in too many aspects of the game, but they are last in fantasy defense against tight ends. Kittle has been on a roll this year, no matter who's been on the field for San Francisco. He has scored 5 touchdowns in his last 4 games, and he has had over 20 fantasy points in 3 of those. I think Kittle scores again this week, and he's going to be on a majority of my teams. And finally, on the 3 Up section, we're going to have running back Kyren Williams of the LA Rams, who is at 8,100. We always talk about touches, options to score points. He is averaging 20 fantasy points so far in this year. But most importantly, he also is averaging over 22 carries. He is about as much of a cowbell running back as there is in the league right now. Any week, Kyren Williams is a good pick. Finally, Cooper Kupp might be back this week for the Rams. Normally, you would say, well, that's going to take some touches away from Williams. However, I see that a little differently. I see that as the defense is not being able to stack the box like they have been doing against the Rams. I think Kyren Williams finds the end zone, and I think Kyren Williams has a big game this week. Now we go to the 3 Down section of our show, where hopefully I give you lower priced players that I believe are going to hit value. And number 1, and some of you may turn off the channel right now, and I guess I couldn't blame you. It is quarterback Andy Dalton of the Carolina Panthers at 5,200. Hear me out. Dalton was a good quarterback at one time. His arm strength has definitely diminished. He can't make all the throws anymore. But he is going against the worst quarterback defense in fantasy in this slate in Washington. Another game that's got the highest implied total in the slate, actually in the whole weekend. Dalton has weapons. I would reconsider Deontay Johnson, their primary wide receiver, is questionable for tomorrow. I would reconsider Dalton, putting Dalton in a lot of my lineups if I found out Deontay Johnson was out for the game. Next up, at just $4,000, wide receiver Juju Smith-Schuster of the Chiefs. The Chiefs have been looking for someone to step up since Rashee Rice was hurt. Is Smith-Schuster that guy? He was last week. 7 catches, 8 targets, 130 yards. Once known for his drops, he may be gaining the confidence of quarterback Patrick Mahomes. And Mahomes likes going to guys that he likes going to. I know that's redundant, but Travis Kelce's a main example of that. If Smith-Schuster could just have a semblance of the game that he had last week, priced at $4,000, you easily hit 3-4 times value. Finally, on the 3-down spot, and this one comes with an asterisk, I'm going to go with Ty Chandler, running back of the Vikings, at $5,600. The only way I'm going to play him is if Aaron Jones is out. He's questionable right now, and there is a chance that he's going to miss a game, his second game, with a hip injury. If Jones is out, Chandler is unquestionably the number 1 back in a big game against Detroit. He will get opportunities. Now, if Jones is active for this game, there's a few options you may want to consider. One of those being Carolina tight end Jatavian Sanders is only $2,900. You could pair him up with Andy Dalton and have a ton of money left over for the rest of your team. Again, 3-up players: Amon-Ra St. Brown, receiver for the Lions, at $8,200. Tight end George Kittle of the 49ers at $6,000. And running back Kyren Williams of the LA Rams at $8,100. 3-down players: quarterback Andy Dalton of the Panthers at $5,200. Wide receiver Juju Smith-Schuster of Kansas City at $4,000. Running back Ty Chandler of Minnesota at $5,600, provided Aaron Jones doesn't play. Again, please hit like and subscribe. Any lineup questions you have, you get them to me before noon on Sunday, and I will answer you. Until next time, I hope you win some money.